Hello, my name is Ryan Gage. Welcome to my true crime channel, where we make documentaries, podcasts, updates, and more. Tonight, we have an absolutely disturbing case to go over, one that many of y'all may never have heard about. This is the gruesome hi-fi shop nightmare of Ogden, Utah, in the year 1974. This story starts on the night of April 22nd, where three men who were, at the time, United States Air Force airmen named Dale Selby Pierre, William Andrews, and Keith Roberts. They all put together a plan to rob this store. The store in question was a local downtown hi-fi store that sold audio and stereo equipment. Airman Dale and William went into the store to start their plan, while Keith waited outside in the vehicle. This is where things take a dark turn, and whether or not this was in their original plan, we will never know. 19-year-old store clerk Michelle Ansley, seen on the left side, was working alongside 20-year-old Stanley Walker, seen under her. Walker, when the men entered the store and informed them of the robbery, the two hi-fi workers were hog-tied up, feet and hands, and then taken to the basement. As the store was getting robbed, 16-year-old Courtney Naisbitt arrived to talk to Stanley, where he too was apprehended and taken to the basement. Soon after Courtney was taken to the basement, Stanley's father, Orrin, and Courtney's mother, Carol, came looking for their children and were also taken hostage in the basement. As all of this is going down, one can only wonder why Keith just sat outside and let it go down. With all of the hostages now down in the basement and the door to the shop presumably locked, the men plundered the store and stole around $25,000 worth of electronics, after which they turned on the hostages and forced them all to drink Drano, which is a liquid bathroom sink cleaner, which they probably assumed would poison and kill them all. They had watched the movie Magnum Force, and in that movie, there was a killer, and he used Drano on a woman. And it's seen on the right side, a liquid drain cleaner. But this instead caused all of their mouths and throats to burn and caused them to vomit. This didn't kill them, as originally intended, and only managed to make the panic worse. Clemency Pierre told, in the last slide you can see the Hill Air Force Base where the three men worked at, where they were assigned, and on the right you can see the hi-fi shop where the crime took place. Pierre told his clemency hearing, "I remember the noise that they were making, the sounds of pain they were making." Since they hadn't gotten rid of their victims quite so cleanly, Pierre set about shooting them. And in the case of Michelle Ansley, the 19-year-old who was in her first week on the job at the community-beloved hi-fi shop, he decided on raping her first. These disgusting execution-style murders had only mixed results. And one of the hostages, 43-year-old Orrin Walker, being noticeably not dead, had a ballpoint pen stomped into his ear and through his skull in an attempt to finish him off. Somehow, Orrin Walker still survived, as did 16-year-old Courtney Naisbitt, who suffered severe brain damage. Stanley Walker, Carol Naisbitt, and Michelle Ansley all lost their lives on this night. As we can see on the left side, William Andrews, who was 19 at the time, Dale Selby Pierre, 21 at the time of the crime, assumed to be the mastermind, but it could have been William Andrews. Keith Roberts on the right, the man who stayed in his vehicle and their vehicle, he was only convicted of armed robbery, 19 at the time. Keith Roberts was convicted on 2 counts of armed robbery, as he was never seen inside the store and wasn't associated with what went on. As for the other 2 men, Dale Selby Pierre, was the first to be executed in the year 1987 by lethal injection, 13 years after he was placed on death row. William Andrews was executed in the year 1992, a whopping 18 years after the murders. Andrews became the 41st person executed in Utah, and there was intense opposition from the NAACP and the American Civil Liberties Union because he didn't kill any of the people. And in spite of daily protests outside the governor's mansion, along with a plea for mercy from the Vatican, Pierre told authorities that Andrews was not in the room when he shot and killed the 3 people, therefore should not be accountable for their murders. Yet, he is said to be the one that forced them all to drink Drano, which they assumed would kill them. In the years after the crime, leading up to the executions of these 2 men, not much of a comprehensive story came up. Pierre was documented saying, "The crime took a course of its own. It wasn't planned that way. People just kept coming in and I just panicked. The only way to prevent what happened was to have been moved away from the Air Force entirely. Of course, the alcohol and the pills I was consuming didn't help. Valiums, Reds, Black Beauties, and Yellow Jackets. I tell myself, you have to accept responsibility for it. You did it. You were there. You can't rationalize it." As we can see in some of the crime scene photos, the victims in the middle, Stanley Walker, Sherry Ansley, Michelle Ansley, and Miss Byron Naisbitt, Carol Naisbitt's mother. You can see the arrest of Dale Selby Pierre in the bottom right, some of the crime scene photos in the top, the hi-fi shop again. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching my documentary over the horrifying crimes that took place in Ogden, Utah in the year 1974. This is Ryan Gage, signing off.